Welcome to our latest webinar, and thank you for joining us. For those who have watched our previous webinars, welcome back. For those who are new to our webinars, it's great that you've found us. So my name's Phil Underwood. I'm the Engagement Manager at the Society for the Environment. I don't have any contact details on the screen because for this particular topic in the webinar, I'm not the best person to contact about it, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. So I've got the very simple job of introducing the webinar, and then I'll be asking quite a few questions later on. But we're going to be handing over to, well, we're going to be interviewing our Head of Licensing, Registration and Standards, Jeff Atkins, today. And then we're going to be concluding the webinar with some questions, hopefully from the delegates of today's webinar. So this webinar is quite different to our recent webinars, which have shared the knowledge of chartered environmentalists on topics such as innovations and reducing plastic waste across multiple sectors. Today we are here to provide guidance to current chartered environmentalist members of the Society for Environmental Engineers, who may be referred to as SEE during this webinar. As of this week, SEE no longer have a license to award chartered environmentalist registration to their members. We are recording this today to inform you of the current situation and assist with what to do next. To do this, we'd like to welcome Jeff Atkins, the Head of Licensing, Registration and Standards here at the Society for the Environment. Throughout this webinar, I will be quizzing Jeff to assist you with your Chartered Environmentalist or CENV registration. And before we start, it goes without saying that we'd very much encourage current CENV members via SEE to continue as a CENV, which is very much possible in most, if not all, cases. So, to start proceedings, Jeff, please could you provide an overview of how the Society works with other professional bodies and how SEE have fitted into this up until now?
Yes, of course. Hello. Okay, so we, as the Society for the Environment, an umbrella organisation made up of currently 25 constituent bodies. One of those is currently CE. All of those have licenses which we issue for them to carry out the assessment process on individuals who are at the right level of competence to become chartered environmentalists and enter the and be added to the register. SEE have been with us as a constituent body pretty much since we started and have done quite a few registrations. We also have RM Tech, another register, and we've got 3 of our constituent bodies who are licensed to all that, and I think those are indicated now on the slide. But it's chartered environmentalists that SEE have been licensed to register individuals for, and as I say, they've done that very successfully over the last few years.
Essentially, SEE no longer have a license to award the CENV registration to their relevantly or appropriately qualified and knowledgeable members. What can chartered environmentalists who are currently registered via SEE, what can they do?
Well, one would hope they want to keep their chartered environmentalist registration, and there's an easy process to follow to transfer that registration to one of our other licensed bodies. Licensed bodies are constituent bodies who also have a license. Now, yeah, the situation is quite, yeah, it's inconvenient more than anything. It would be so much easier if you could carry on with SEE, but as they don't have a license anymore, they won't be able to maintain your registration. It will therefore be So you meet the criteria. The first criteria to be a chartered environmentalist is that you need to be a member of one of our licensed bodies, one of the professional bodies we license. So you need to become a member of one of those new licensed bodies, and they will arrange your transfer.
So those licensed bodies, the 24 other licensed bodies are on your screen at the moment. And obviously we've got SEE still down there as well. So we need to transfer from SEE to one of these other 24 licensed bodies. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, brilliant. So current CMs via SEE, they need to transfer.
They do.
Okay, and when do they need to transfer by? So they're am I right in saying that their license essentially lapsed on the 18th of May?
It did. So if a license is discontinued, is suspended, or whatever, a registrant has 12 months from the date the license expires to be transferred and maintain and keep their CM registration. So it's the 17th of May 2020. So you've got just under 12 months to arrange your transfer, which, as I've said before, is a simple process that the license body that you join will arrange for you. But it is true. You could join any of the 24.
So chartered environmentalists have a deadline of the 17th of May 2020 to transfer to another licensed body.
Absolutely. Yep, that's right.
Okay.
So there is plenty of time. There's no rush. Your registration still is current, and you will have all paid your registration fee up to the end of 2019.
So out of these 24 licensed bodies, is there any that SEE chartered environmentalists would need to go to, or is it a choice between all of them?
My advice would be that it would depend on which sector you particularly work in. You can see that we've got a wide range of professional bodies there. So, I mean, if it doesn't necessarily follow that because you're a member, a registrant through the Society of Environmental Engineers, that you would join another professional engineering institution. It could be that you could join a non-engineering one. But it would seem, well, joining the agricultural engineers, if you're not an agricultural engineer, wouldn't make much sense, although in theory you could. It would be better to go to the particular license body that your field of expertise, the sector you work in is more closely attuned to or aligned to.
But I guess in any case, you would need to meet the membership requirements of the licensed body that you're hoping to transfer to. Is that right?
That's right. They've all got a membership process, and that might well differ. What wouldn't differ is the process for becoming a chartered environmentalist. But you're already a chartered environmentalist. You won't need to be reassessed for that, but you will need to meet the membership requirements for the license body that you choose, and they will vary, and it might be better to speak to two or three to find out which one is the best fit for your, as I say, your sector and your field of expertise.
So if I was already a member of both SEE and, for example, SciWem, and a full member of SciWem, would that make it pretty simple in a way, because I've already got the correct level of membership with SciWem, and then it's a simple transfer straight over?
Simply yes. Yeah, because if you've already been through the membership process with SciWem, you wouldn't need to do that again. As I've already said, you wouldn't need to be reassessed for Chartered Environmentalist. It would just be contacting SciWem and asking for them to arrange for your transfer. They complete a form. They get SEE to complete part of the form. That comes to us here at the Society, and it's processed, and the transfer takes place. It's a simple process. There actually is very little for you as a SEE CN registrant to actually do, other than find the new licensed body. And if you are a member of one of the other 24, that would seem to be the most straightforward way to do this.
So the transfer process, by the sounds of it, is mainly conducted by the licensed body that you are moving to.
It is, yes. Yeah, they have the form. They complete part. SEE would complete part, and then it's submitted to us, as I say, for processing. And it is a straightforward thing. It is not something that we're not used to. It is a process that has existed since we've had the registers, so for a number of years, and not something that we've had to create to meet this circumstance. It is a fairly normal procedure, so it's easy for everybody to follow.
Okay, so nothing too complex, relatively.
Not at all. Not at all.
Excellent. On the subject of which licensed body to choose, or which licensed body to transfer your Chartered Environmentalist registration to, I guess it would be potentially a consideration for the engineers who are also registrants with the Engineering Council. So if they wanted to, it could be a consideration that they would want to go to a licensed body who also has a license from the Engineering Council in order to transfer both registrations across. Not a necessity, but something to consider, maybe.
That is certainly something to consider. The transfer process that the Engineering Council do may well be different to our one. I think it is very, very similar, but it would depend. I mean, if you are a chartered engineer, for example, you mentioned SciWem. If you're a chartered engineer through SciWem and you're already a member of SciWem, then transferring your SEE CN registration to SciWem would be the most straightforward. But it would depend on, I mean, if you're an engineer, you might be a building engineer, therefore K would be the one. The Engineering Council have set up their own support process to help their registrants, their chartered engineers. But yeah, I think, yes, that would be the most straightforward process to follow.
If you wanted to keep all your eggs in one basket, for example, and keep your CM and RM Tech, and obviously you need to be a member of one of the licensed bodies, then that would be something to consider. Okay.
Yes, it's an option, and there are many options, or a few options, but it's certainly one to consider.
Okay. And I guess it's worth noting that you are, as an individual, not alone in what you're doing here. There are just over 150 Chartered Environmentalists via the Society for the Environment.
154.
154. So you're not alone, and we have had conversations with many Chartered Environmentalists via SEE currently, and they have made inquiries with different licensed bodies transferring to.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So one question that is likely to be on many people's minds is, how much is it going to cost to transfer your registration to another licensed body?
We don't charge anything for the transfer. We wouldn't be charging you anything for your registration as a chartered environmentalist, because you've already paid that to SEE. So that's covered until the end of 2019. your 2020 registration fee would need to be paid, and that would be paid through your new licensed body. What you may well have to pay, though, is to go through the membership process and become a member of the new licensed body that you choose. And those membership fees are not something that we have any control over, and they can vary between them. Their membership processes would vary as well. But I repeat, you won't need to be reassessed for Chartered Environmentalist, and the transfer of your registration is free of charge.
So you won't be charged for the Chartered Environmentalist registration until you get to your renewal of, not renewal.
Well, it is. You're paying to renew your registration, and that would be done on an annual basis by your licensed body, and that would be at the beginning of 2020. One question I have been asked is, what if I don't want to transfer? I don't want to transfer from SCE. I like SCE. I want to stay there. And whilst that's commendable because they are nice people, unfortunately, if you decide not to transfer, you would lose your CM registration. Eventually, that 12 months would expire, and you would no longer be able to call yourself a Chartered Environmentalist, which we don't want you to do. We want to keep you because you've worked hard for this. It's a great way of showing your competence and your commitment to the environment. So we don't want you to think, no, I don't want to transfer, which is why, hopefully, we've made the transfer process as simple as possible for you as a CM registrant with SCE.
Okay, so one of the main reasons that individuals become a Chartered Environmentalist is to call themselves Chartered Environmentalists and to have the letters, the post-nominals, CM after their name. So what happens with the post-nominals in this transferring situation?
You transfer and everything carries on as it would do. You can still call yourself a Chartered Environmentalist. You can still use the post-nominals. Nothing will change. However, if you don't transfer within that 12 months, so by the 17th of May 2020, you will lose your CM registration and no longer be able to use Chartered Environmentalist or your CM post-nominals. But you've got plenty of time to arrange the transfer, join the new licensed body, and ask them to arrange the transfer for you.
And if people want to find out any more, so if the Chartered Environmentalists via SEE have any questions, would like any more support, who's best for them to contact at the moment?
Well, you saw my contact details on that earlier screen. It would be, and I already have received a number of emails from SEE, CN registrants, and I'm more than happy to do that. There we are, they're back on screen. Drop me an email. The number there is a number here at the Society's head office. I'm not actually based at the head office, so an email is the best way to get in touch with me, and I'll answer any queries that you've got, any questions that you've got. And don't worry if you think, oh, I should know the answer to that question. There's no such thing as a silly question. If you've got a concern, if you've got a question, or you need any assistance, drop me an email, and I'll answer that with some prompt advice.
And I guess registrants will already have contact with the membership department at SEE. So if you had any questions that you'd like to direct directly to SEE, then they are the best people to.
Yes.
To ask.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, what I've mainly been doing in the emails I've received so far is pointing people in the direction of a new licensed body. If you say which sector you principally work in, what your field of expertise is, it makes it easier to make a suggestion. But there might be 2 or 3 that you cover. But I will try and give you a name of somebody to contact at the new licensed body and suggest that you ask them about their membership requirements and transferring your CM registration. Any questions, please drop me an email.
Well, what you've just said links into one question that we have had in, is, and that's around, so basically they're saying we need to transfer our CM registration to a new licensed body. How do we go about approaching that new licensed body?
There's contact details if you click on the link, the licensed body link, which is both the letter we sent and the supporting paper. Takes you through to our website where there are links to each and every of the 24 licensed bodies. Included in that link are contact details of the membership department at each of those licensed bodies.
And I guess they'll be happy to discuss their skills and their knowledge base, and they'll be able to advise whether membership with them in particular would be useful and what kind of benefits they would get for being members of their licensed bodies.
Yes, I mean, as I've said before, which licensed body you choose to join will a lot depend on whether they fit in with the sector you're working in, the field of expertise you're from, and I mean, is their membership package something that attracts you? It might be that one of the others offer a better deal, and that's a better fit, better CPD opportunities, better engagement opportunities. But you'll only know that when you inquire. So I suggest you do that to as many as you want.
And to take an example, I guess if you are in the, let's say, construction sector, and in which case you would have a number of potential licensed bodies that you could transfer your CM registration to, for example, CABE, maybe ICE, RICS, and so on. If you've got a selection, there's nothing wrong with contacting each one of those and saying, this is what the situation is. I am interested in becoming a member of your professional body to transfer my chartered environmentalist across. Is that a normal?
I would suggest that's an excellent idea, and would encourage it. If you're talking about construction, of course, one you missed off was the Chartered Institute of Building. So there's another one. I mean, there's plenty of choice. If it would be a good idea, I would suggest, to make contact with all of those. It might be that you're, as we've said earlier, you might already be a member, and that would be very easy to follow that through. But I would make contact with all of them and any of them to see what they can offer you, and make a decision based on that. And I'll repeat, you have got time. It doesn't need to be done by next week. You've got time. You can make inquiries. You can make then an informed decision about what suits you best. And what suits you best is what we want. The outcome we want from all this is for you to be a happy registrant with a new licensed body, and still enjoying the benefits of being a chartered environmentalist.
Excellent. Thank you for that. So now it's a case of thanking Jeff for his time today. Excellent insight into basically how to transfer your registration to a new licensed body from the SEE. One thing also to note is that a licensed body's license doesn't have to have lapsed for you to transfer your registration.
As I said during the webinar, this is quite a standard process. Individuals transfer their registration. because they may have moved sectors, they may be in a new job, they may have just decided to change which professional body they belong to. It's a standard process. It's quite a normal thing. It happens fairly regularly. So it's not something that is only for people that are in this situation where the licensed body that they belong to and their registration is through, the license has expired or they've no longer got the license. It can be done by anybody at any time.
An excellent example of when you think you've finished a webinar, but then you think of something else which might be useful.
We like to give good value.
So again, thank you very much to Jeff for his time.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. We're going to wrap up the webinar at this stage, but please stay with us for just a moment. The recording of this webinar is available on our website and our YouTube channel. You can watch this webinar back as many times as you like. As well as the webinar, there is also a web page being set up, which the web address is in the bottom left of your screen. So that's socenv.org.uk/SEE-support. And that has many of the details of what's been covered today in a written format rather than a spoken format. There's also a number of webinar recordings from our previous webinars, which might be of interest to you. Something to note coming up is our World Environment Day conference on the 4th of June. So registration is still available for that. The tours of Kew Gardens have sold out, which is going to be before the main event starts. So tickets are going fast, and it's not very long now until the event. We will be joined, or the speaker lineup for the event is fantastic. It includes Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State at DEFRA, Dr. Teresa Coffey, MP, and Chartered Environmentalist Nick Blythe from IEMA and Claire Wansbury from Atkins. So an excellent opportunity to learn from some experts there. And on that, at that event, we will also be presenting this year's Environmental Professional of the Year. So please come along to celebrate with them. Alongside our work to champion World Environment Day, which is a global UN initiative, we are championing their theme for this year, which is Beat Air Pollution. So please head to our webpage, which is on your screen there, and you can find out all sorts of information about air pollution, case studies from Chartered Environmentalists on the topic, and various different links to useful news items and articles and so on. Really good hub of knowledge there, and we actually really encourage you to send through your case studies on the air pollution topic. So please get involved in that and use the hashtag #BeatAirPollution when you are on social media. And that's it from us today. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks again to Jeff for providing his insight. Again, if you have any questions at all, we are here to support as much as we can. So please do get in touch. Good luck with your transfer, and we'll see you in the next webinar.